Well, fit like. Gonna try and do a shorter video today. All my videos are over 10 minutes, so we're gonna try and keep this one underneath. Um, just want to see if I can actually manage to stop myself from talking. Not doing very well so far. We're gonna have a look at Red Dwarf books today. For those of you who haven't seen the show, just please watch it. There was 8 seasons originally, and then it stopped. They did a 3-part show episode in like 2010 or something like that, which it was more like a film, but they split it up into 3. If you buy the DVD, it's called Back to Earth. It's together, and it works a lot better together than as 3 separate episodes. And then they did a season 10 a couple of years ago. British channel Dave has commissioned the next 2, so 11 and 12. I think 11's being filmed now, it's getting shown this year, and then season 12 will be next year. So it's good to see that it's back. The channel Dave, I believe, is actually named after Dave Lister, the main character in this, so it's good that they've managed to get hold of the rights. If you're fans of the series and haven't read the book, I wouldn't read these. These aren't to be read in time with the series at all, because they kind of draw on a lot of the same content is in these, but it's expanded on and it's maybe not used in the same way, if you see what I mean. But there's direct stuff pulled from the show in these books. This one is Red Dwarf. The first one's called Red Dwarf Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers, and the second one's called Better Than Life, which you'll know about if you've seen the show. That's the video game, the VR helmets that they wear. So this is the first 2 collected. I would rather have them singly, obviously, but I've got this. And honestly, I just read these again recently. They're hilarious. I forgot how good they were. But like I say, don't read them in conjunction with the show. Like, if you've not watched the show for a few months, have a shot of these and see what you think, because you get a lot of extra stuff, a lot of very different stuff. I mean, you find out how Lister gets onto the Red Dwarf mining ship in the first place, and it's good fun. Like, it's really good. Rimmer's great in it. Everybody's in it that you'd expect to be. I mean, Ace Rimmer shows up in one of them. You know what I mean? It's all the characters are there, but they're not necessarily playing parts that they've played in the show. So, like that episode, Gunman of the Apocalypse, where Crichton gets the virus, that kind of scenario happens slightly differently, and you get more. They can spend more time on it in the books, so like they do. You see what I mean? And you get extra stuff. And the love story between Kochanski and Lister is obviously a main theme running right through all of them. And it's really quite sweet. It reminds me of like The Office or something, how, you know, it's hilarious, but at the same time there's this undercurrent of kind of like the emotional drama of the whole thing at the same time that keeps running through the whole thing. So these ones were written by, you know, Grant Naylor. It's Doug Naylor and somebody Grant. I want to say Alan, but it's not, is it? Because he writes Batman. Oh, it's going to be on here, is it? Rob Grant. Okay, so they wrote these 2, and then I think a 3rd was commissioned. It's for Penguin. I think a 3rd was commissioned. It kind of just says in the book that Rob Grant expressed that he wanted to write his own one. I don't know if that's the case or not, if there was an argument. But I think he actually left the show as well. I'm not sure about that. I maybe shouldn't have bothered saying that. But so there was that one, which is the first 2. And then this one actually came out next, which is written by Doug himself, which is Last Human. So it kind of mentions the events of the end of the second book. This has got a really good sci-fi element to it. So, which is the thing about Dwarf that I love. It's a comedy, but there's still really good sci-fi stuff in there. So if you're into your sci-fi, it's sometimes worth watching it just for that. There's really good time traveling. ideas. Some of the monsters they encounter are really good as well. It's just done really well. And like I say, this one comes out next, but I wouldn't recommend reading that one next. I would recommend reading backwards, because this is Rob Grant. So Doug Naylor wrote this one, Rob Grant wrote this one. This one came out a good couple of years after this one even. I think there was a few years until this came out, and then it was a few years again until this came out. But this one continues exactly from when this left off. I think he even mentions it. But this is where the continuity gets a bit weird, because these both happen at the same time, essentially. Well, they don't, but you see what I mean. These don't run in. This isn't 3 and 4, these are both 3, if you see what I mean. The different guys' takes on what happens. But this is directly after. This one just kind of this one other stuff's going on, and it just kind of mentions the end of the last book, and it's like brush over that and we'll carry on. So this is the one I would read last, personally, and that's the way I read them this time. After remembering from last time, like I shouldn't have done this. So this one's actually good. They're actually both really good. It's funny, man. It's funny. This one's obviously set on in the world backwards, obviously, where they go to Nodnall and think they're ace, and the cat gets well, we'll not talk about that, it's a bit rough. But this one, a lot of stuff takes place on there, and Holly, the internal ship on the computer, has a huge part in these books. They use him so well. Crichton gets used really well. They can do stuff in here that they wouldn't have been able to do on their budget on the show, which is nice to see them kind of stretching these characters a little bit. But all in all, these are really good. Like I say, oh, that's a bit bleached, isn't it? Like I say, don't read these in conjunction with the show. Read them, once you're out of it, because there's a lot of stuff. And I'd watched the first series, I think it was, again recently, when I'd started this, and it was a bit of a wade, because I'd literally just watched it, and I was like, yeah, I remember that. So, yeah, like I say. But these are good. They're all out of print, I think, but they're not worth anything. That company, I believe, do I say their name? There's a company on eBay that sells books basically for a penny, and it's just the postage that you pay. They've obviously got some deal. But you can get them all on there, and I think they're £2.81. So, I mean, this is actually £2.81 for the omnibus, and the 2 issues singly are £2.81 each. So you'd be better just buying this. But obviously, you've got that to contend with. So the other ones are the same size as these, obviously, and for some reason that's happened. So, anyway, that's these ones, and we'll see you next time for something else. Cheers.